licking its feet. Maybe it's got a little thorn or a burr or something stuck in between the pads of their feet. They were so fluffy at this age too. Actually, the Styx lions always tend to be quite fluffy, but they look good. From what I can see, the obscured visuals that we're getting of them, they seem to be healthy. They're looking in a lot better condition than the Djuma Pride, that I can tell you. Perhaps they've hit the jackpot with finding and catching animals. There seems to be quite a few zebra around the nets areas, and that's where they, and little gari, all those spots, that's where they've been hanging around quite a bit. So it's nice to see them here. This is typically the Djuma territory. So Styx, you better be careful. You count yourselves lucky that the Djumas are not around, because it's a much bigger pride. Be quite interesting to see what happens, because the Birmingham boys don't discriminate between the Djuma Pride, the Styx Pride, and the Torchwood Pride. They visit all of those. But it would be interesting to see what would happen when you'd have the Djuma Pride bumping into the Styx Pride, and say each of them had a Birmingham on their side. I wonder what would happen. There'd definitely be some conflict between the girls, but with the boys, surely not. Quite interesting to see something like that, don't you think? I've never seen an encounter like that, so I wouldn't even know where to begin to try and describe a situation like that. We'll put that in the book, and hopefully one day I'll have a sighting. Great way, and what a great start to the morning. It took a bit of while, it took some time. We actually seem to not be having too many big cat sightings in the first hour of drive. It's normally coming into the second hour that everything starts to get a little bit better, and we start seeing some more. I don't know, they look quite comfortable here. The little cubs all seem to be settling, and as well, especially if they had a little bite to eat, you know. They had breakfast now, they can rest for the day, so maybe we're going to have a established lion sighting first thing this afternoon if they don't get moving, but the rest of them have lots of cars. Cats this morning, they cannot be pressured because you can only have a certain amount of vehicles on our property, and these guys don't have traverse rights. Minutes, and then we're going to have to move on, unfortunately, and give everyone else a turn, and then if the sighting quietens down a little bit later, then we will come back here. But there he is. He's watching very, very carefully as to what's going on out here. Alice, are you still there? You've been very quiet. He looks big though. I remember yesterday, actually last night on Twitter, I was talking about how we often forget how big animals look when they've got full bellies. And I couldn't believe yesterday with that sighting of Tinyo, how he looks like a completely different lion when he's on the slender side of things. And the same thing goes for Hosana. Now that he's got a big belly, it's almost like he's filled out even more. He's looking fantastic. Now, Deborah, you've said it looks like Hosana has tripled in size since you last saw him 3 months ago. Well, if that was the last sighting you had of him, then most certainly he definitely has grown. I think he had a very early growth spurt, though, because he grew super quickly, and it seems as though Tumba's doing a very similar thing. I mean, I think Tumba's almost the same size as Hosana, maybe in terms of height, the same size, but not in width, and he's still got to fill out quite a bit. But Tom is almost half the age of this fella, and his feet are massive. So I think there is another leopard we've got to look out for, and hopefully he's going to get, you know, even larger. I'd like to see him with a very, very full belly. Now you might hear some other voices. Like I said, there's lots of vehicles around and in the sighting. But Hosana, I'm glad that at least you had some of your meal, and I'm sorry if the lions did take it from you. So he is panting quite a bit. It might not be now because he was obviously frightened and the adrenaline was pumping through his body, but it's also because he has got that big belly. Look at it. Looks like he's swallowed an entire beach ball. I always describe it as that. So he must have had a good meal. Maybe it was something like an impala. He definitely wasn't here yesterday though, because we searched these areas from top to bottom and 3 times over. Oh, hello beautiful boy. Yes, don't worry, the lions won't bother you now. I think they've completely forgotten about him. I think they came in, took what they wanted, chased him up a tree, and now they're like, well, we're just going to sleep. So you'll probably find if the Styx lions stay there, like I said, they look like they were settling in, doing a last groom. Not because they are waking up, but because they are going to have a siesta. Is that eventually, once he feels brave enough, he'll probably go down that tree and disappear. I would imagine he'd go back onto Gari Main and then maybe slink through Little Gari. And he'll need to have a drink of water after that big meal. Baboon Pan has now dried up, so he might go towards Twin Dam. So he could also still be around, maybe in the Mulwati, somewhere around here for this afternoon. Wouldn't that be fantastic if that's how we could start our drive for the sunset safari? That's a beautiful shot there. Very nice framing, Seb. He's got lovely eyes though. Him and Shongile have got the most gorgeous golden eyes. I think that's one of the 2 things that you can see how they're related. And then you've got Tumba, who's our blue-green-eyed boy. Look at those feet. Yeah, they're not small. He doesn't look too comfortable. Yeah, I don't know how many sightings he's encountered, or how many sightings he's had with lions. But you can see there. Very worried indeed. Very, very, very worried. Now, I'm also just going to... when I get a gap on the radio, I'm going to find out what's going on and how many people are coming into the sighting. Like I said, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to sit here forever, we have to be courteous, we have to be polite. The royal cubs. Not that they're cubs anymore. Good to see them doing so well. Let's see what he's going to do now, if he's going to come down. He wants to move. He definitely wants to go. He's not happy. He's not happy up there. I just want to find out from Aubrey quickly. Hey William. How are you, William? I'm good. Hi guys. We'll see you later.
Sure. I'll message you.
Yes. Cheers guys. My friends are driving past us. You may have heard their voices. Actually, yes, can you believe that? I have friends. Which is nice to see them, of course. When you're stuck out in the wilderness, I can't tell you how nice it is to see familiar faces, other than, of course, our family at work. It's nice to socialize with other people other than just bush people. Hey, Sebastian. We hear normal stories, we get to have adult conversations and all these types of things. It's quite nice. Now, as soon as there's a gap, let me quickly find out. How many vehicles are on standby for the sighting? Okay, copy. Yeah, no problem. As soon as you get here, I'll pull out for you. Just let me know when you're 1 or 2 roads out. Cool. So we'll make a space for Taxon when he comes through as well. He is on his way here. He should be maybe another 5 minutes or so. So we've still got a little bit of time to spend with him. And then normally what happens is that the vehicles will come through. They'll watch. and then they'll go for a tea and coffee break, or someone will need to use the luxury facilities, and then they'll have to leave the sighting, and then that's when we can be like a vulture and swoop on in and try and jump back in. Actually, you know what we must maybe do is maybe we'll give Tristan a chance. I think Tristan would really like to enjoy this sighting, and seeing as though between the two of us we haven't really having the greatest of luck with quality sightings and being able to spend sightings, I'd like to reward Tristan. So as soon as I leave the sighting and Taxon comes on in, yeah, I'm just telling Andrew, you can come way up here so you can park anywhere, it's no problem. See, luckily for us, what's really nice is we've got the camera that's positioned so high up, so we're able to zoom up and over the tops of the heads. So I just said to Andrew, he's welcome to pull right in front of us and get the view that he needs to get for his guests. We can always take a little bit of a step back because we've got a zoom, which is what's so nice in the sightings. And I think a lot of the guides actually appreciate that we don't necessarily take the best positions for photography, because we can work around obstacles like long grass and branches, and we can sit a little bit further away. Tristan, you're all the way up in the north. You're 150 kilometers away, are you? Tristan says he's not going to be coming down here. Oh well. Well, we'll see. If we do get another gap, a little bit later, then perhaps we will come back. I thought that he might enjoy something like this. It's very pretty. It's so peaceful, and the wind is starting to die down now too. Right, we're going to only be able to stay here for a few more minutes longer. Let's go across to Tristan. It seems as though he's found himself some other kind of spots.
We have indeed, but not the spots of a predator variety. We've just got some giraffe, which is the first time I've seen one of these in a long time. They've been a bit absent over the last few days, and I know a lot of you yesterday were asking about giraffes, so there we go. There's at least some tall spots that are hanging around. Now there's two of them that I've seen. This is just the one on the sort of far northern side. The other one, I don't know where it was. It was walking with this one, and it's just sort of hung back a little bit. And they both look like females, but I can't see very nicely. They're far away, and the heads have been in the bush the whole time we've been sitting here. It's difficult to know if it's a female or a male at this stage. You can see it looks fairly female-like. Yes, those ossicones are hairy on top, so that is a female that's there. Now I would imagine there's another one. The other one is also a female. It's quite common to see sort of loose segments of giraffe all over the place. You'll find that they have a very loose social structure. Now, Paul, you say just as beautiful. Well, giraffe, yes, they are. They're quite elegant animals, aren't they? They've got that sort of tall, long structure, and they look very elegant and pretty. And so I do like giraffe as well. Slightly different kind of spots, though. We left the area where the lion was as well, by the way, just because. So, Makeup Girl, you say this is your first giraffe. Yay, well, I'm glad that you've seen your first giraffe, and I suppose that you then must be a fairly new viewer to Safari Live, so I hope you're enjoying it so far and that you enjoy our giraffe. And I was saying just now that we left the lion tracks because, well, we tried every possible angle that we could get from a car, and we can't find any sign there, so it must be somewhere in those deep drainages that we just can't get into, and hopefully this afternoon that lion will come out as well. But isn't it exciting that we had these Styx and Hosana together? And now we know where Hosana's been the last few days. He's obviously been eating a big meal because he's got a big fat belly by the sounds of it. Now, our giraffe, I'm going to try and just see, because we're on tele access and Triple M goes the other side, and maybe it will be actually a better view from the other side because they are quite far away and their heads are buried in a bush. So I want to just try and get a little bit further forward. There is also a vehicle behind me waiting to come past. So I'm going to just try and sneak forward. No, that's not going to work there. Okay, I'm going to try go around and see what I can find. Like I say, let this vehicle go past. And while we do that, let's go back to Miss McCurdy and, well, the eventful things that are going on down in the southern side of Djuma.
Not much just yet. Everything is still very relaxed. It sounds like the Styx lines have gone completely flat now. They don't seem to be showing any signs of moving about. And Hosana, I think, is deciding what he's going to do next. He also hasn't quite figured out what he's going to do. I think he's very nervous at the moment. You know, he's probably thinking about a whole lot of different things. He's planning his escape route. Where's he going to go? Because what happens if he gets to the base of the tree and then the lions come charging out at him? Then he needs to think to himself, where do I go from there? Luckily, though, for him, there are plenty of different trees. There's Balanites trees, there's lots of marulas, a couple of apple leaves. And you know what? Even climbing up a flimsy bush willow or silver cluster leaf would do the job at just trying to get him off of the ground. I've heard some noises. I think it's just those cubs annoying the adults. It's the sort of moaning sounds we get to hear. Now I am looking behind me because I'm waiting for Taxon to get into the sighting. And it is going to take us a bit of time to try and maneuver and get out of the sighting. We're kind of blocked in with a lot of cars. Are you going to go up higher? He's staring up to the top of the trees now. He probably just wants to sleep off his big belly now. And I'm sure if you went, Hosana, just a little bit further away, there's a beautiful big Balanites tree that you could sleep in. It has lots of shade. And the lions most certainly wouldn't bother you there. And you'd be close to the watering hole. And you'd have such a good view of the watering hole too, you could see if there was anybody that was coming down. Now, he'll get over it eventually, this whole frightening situation that he's gone through. It won't take him too long. We were talking about it yesterday, actually, in fact, how impala or zebra or wildebeest or buffalo will get charged and stalked and just have a near-death experience. And then an hour later, oh, it's like nothing even happened. And the same thing will go with the leopards and the lions when they have an uncomfortable encounter. Feel nervous, but then eventually they take a deep breath and go, whew, it's just nature. Well, that's what I like to think that the leopards are thinking. But that's actually a very nice way to identify Hosana. I know he's got many markings along his face that are nice and dark, but that notch out of his left ear for me, and those golden eyes, when you can see them when there isn't glare. He's not looking at us, of course, so we can't show you his golden eyes, and the notch in his ear just yet is of course a nice way to identify him. His eyes seem to be getting more and more yellow as he gets older. They're turning into a very pretty color. And I hope you've all taken lots of screenshots, because he's definitely given us some great photographic opportunities this morning. Alice said that there are lots and lots of screenshots coming through. That's good. Excuse me. Woo. Do you think it's fair to say that today I'm allowed to be allergic to cats, seeing as though I've got two different species of cats? One in front of me and a whole pride of them behind me. I actually think it's just the dust today. It's an absolute nightmare with all the wind. But see that? His breathing rate seems to have slowed down slightly. Obviously that adrenaline is starting to wear off now. And I think once he's sort of got a clear mind, it must be difficult. We all know how difficult it is to try and concentrate when you do have a lot of adrenaline pumping through your veins. You know, your mind is rushing from situation or scenario to scenario. What could happen? What could go wrong? So now he's looking a lot more relaxed. His eyes don't look like they're bulging out of his skull anymore. Yes, just relax, big boy. You're pretty safe up there, I reckon. And what a great comment coming through from Heidi this morning. You said it is so great to be able to follow the lives of the different animals out here. And then the last part of that was, in a few years we'll have little Hosanas running around. Well, we hope so. Maybe not in this area, as I reckon if anybody's going to potentially take over from Tingana, I think it might be Quarantine. He's slowly pushing further north and west into Tingana's territory. He's had a hiding once from him and been sent his packing all the way back towards Cheetah Plains, but he's encroaching on Torchwood once again. So I think his next move is to hopefully take over Torchwood, and then, well, once he's there, he's halfway here. And Quarantine is definitely growing into a massive leopard, though Tingana is looking fantastic at the moment too. So I think Hosana's still got a while to go before he can even think of taking over a territory and successfully mating with a number of different females that live in that area. He could go all the way south, but we'll always follow him. That's what's so great about the Sabi Sand, is that there are so many different lodges around here. There's so many people who are keen to follow the lives of these cats and document them, that unless he goes into somewhere like Kruger, into an area that's maybe not well driven, then we should see exactly what happens to him as he gets older and where he starts his reign one day. But not for the next couple of years. He'll just sort of live in and between the other male leopards, between Quarantine, between Anderson Male, between Tingana and Mvula, sort of sidestepping. And if he goes any further south than that, he'll start bumping into the leopards of Male Male and Londolozi and Singita, and there are some big males down there too. So he better just stay put. Be nice though, to see how far he goes. Maybe one day we hear of him right down in the southern sands close to the Sabi River. Wouldn't that be exciting? Definitely an opportunity down there. I think that if Hosana were to, in the next few years, go down to the southern sands, particularly the southwestern corner of the sands, he could take down Mashabeni. Mashabeni's not a big leopard. He's definitely got some experience. He's a fighter. He's put many boys to shame that have tried to come through, but in terms of size, he's nowhere near the size of Tingana. So I reckon Hosana would find that maybe an easy match as he gets slightly older and a little bit bigger. Size definitely does matter out here when it comes to wildlife. The bigger you are, the stronger you are, the more respect is had for you out here. Look at an elephant, even look at a buffalo, look at a hippo. We definitely respect them. Isn't this beautiful? However, I can hear some more cars coming through, so I think this is going to be our chance where we're going to have to move out of the sighting and give some other guys a chance. And for a few Hema there, I'll pull out for you and you can take my spot. Okay, right. Seems like that we're going to have to do a rotation of cars now. Bye, Hosana. Right, well, I'll try and do some navigating around here and try and leave and give everyone else a turn. We'll hear how the sighting carries on though, and if there's an opportunity for us to come back a little bit later. But let's go back to Tristan and see if he's managed to find his giraffe.
Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to be managing to find because I didn't hear that part, so I haven't found anything, Taylor. It's been very quiet on our side. We've had no sign of anything. Sounds like there's some wild dogs on Arethusa, but, well, we can't go there, so no chance of that. I'm just driving along Triple M in the hope that maybe they ran out in front of us, but it seems as though they're on the western side of Arethusa, so we're not going to be able to get anywhere near those dogs. It is starting to get quite warm now, so I'm going to probably try and see if I can't just head towards Treehouse Dam and see if there's not any sign of maybe some ellies coming out after all the wind that we had in the last sort of day. It would be maybe a good idea to go and check. Now, I'm trying to take my jersey off because it is getting quite hot, but also trying to drive at the same time, which is proving to be less than successful at this stage. So I just have to slow down a little bit. There we go. So I didn't think I'd be taking my jersey off already at this stage, but apparently it's going to get quite warm today, so it will be good for this afternoon. It means that hopefully the Styx Pride and Hosana will stay where they are, and we'll have them again this afternoon. That will be at least the hope for it. Now, the problem with this road and why tracking on this road is always so tough and finding tracks is because of the amount of vehicles. As you can see, there's one that's going to come past us fairly shortly. And so lots of vehicles that kind of go up and down, and so finding tracks here is never the easiest. But I was just driving here not only for the dogs, but just to see if maybe Shadow and Cub could have come back from yesterday going into that side, but it seems so far no sign of them either coming this way. And just say hello to everybody. They didn't seem as though they wanted to say hello back to us, Craig. I don't know what's wrong with them. But other than that, well, it's probably as quiet a morning as I've had in a long time. We had that track for that line, but otherwise, hyena den not active, very few signs of any other animals to speak of. Birds have been quiet, so it's been a very restful morning so far. Luckily, at least the Styx and Hosana turned up down in the south, because otherwise we would have been struggling a bit. Mark has been all out and about as they were yesterday morning. It sounded like yesterday morning was a fantastic morning, and keeps happening every time we're not on drive. It seems like the animals have a fat party on Djuma and are all over the place. As soon as we come back again, they seem to be gone and disappeared. So we'll have to sort them out and start getting our schedules in line with the animals ones, so that we have the same situations. The mornings that we're off, it's quiet, and the mornings that we're on, or afternoons, the animals are everywhere. That's what we need. I apologize if the camera's bouncing around a little bit. It is a very corrugated road, which means that we'll find a situation where the camera does shake and bounce a little bit, and we'll soon be off this road, so it should not be too much of a stress in the next little bit. So James, you're asking what the most difficult substrate to track on, I think is what you said, because like I say, it is breaking up very badly. But difficult rocks, so rocky areas, mountains, those kind of places are really tough. If you've got a very hard rocky soil, you can really struggle. Much impossible. But alas, no sign of shadow and cub anywhere. No tracks that I can see even on this little road. I know Taylor did the new road this morning and she didn't have anything there, so I would imagine that it's probably they've crossed back into Arethusa and have stayed that side. Yeah, birdies or any sort of thing with a heartbeat would be quite nice. It's actually amazing how few impalas we've seen this morning as well. I would have thought we would have seen a lot more. It seems that Quarantine was the place to be. When we left camp, there was lots of animals around Quarantine. Apparently the impalas are all at the dam. So they're on the dam cam. For those of you that do watch the dam cam, there apparently are some impalas that side. But it's strange, you normally see when you go along Sandy Patch and Vuyatela Access, often find impalas there, but this morning, nothing. I wonder if maybe some of the cats were involved around that area and caused them all to go, there we go. Hello impalas. Good morning. So there we go, finally at least seen an animal with a heartbeat. So we had our giraffe earlier, but that was brief because they went into horrible thickets and couldn't see them from the other side of the road either. But we at least have found some impalas and 2 males, which is quite common at this time of the year. The rut is really finished, but there's still this residue of bachelor herds that have formed. And are you a bit wary of us? You can see it's really paying attention to what we are and who we are, and that's potentially because maybe it's bumped into something at some point during the night and is a little bit more kind of wary of what's going on. And I wonder if this is not the herd that Taylor saw this morning with the one horn, although this horn is just broken in half. You can see there the right horn is broken in half, so I don't know if it is the same grouping that Taylor saw. Now that will affect his ability to be a contender for mating come next year. When the horn breaks like that, they can't really get as much leverage as they would if the horn was bigger and could lock in with another male, and so the chance of him mating is reduced drastically by that broken horn or lack of a horn. So the one like Taylor had, which I think is the one without the horn, they would be severely compromised when it comes to actual mating procedures. And it was interesting, I once was at Chitwa, we had an impala there that had both of its horns broken, so both of them were little stumps on top of his head, and he tried and tried and tried to rut, and he exerted so much energy, so much more than what the others were, trying to establish himself and trying to get females, that he lost condition quite badly. And it actually turned out within a few weeks after we saw him trying to mate that he eventually died and was killed by a leopard. So just goes to show it's a big hindrance not having the horn structure that you would expect to have as an impala. Right, impalas, we need you to shout and find us something. Come on. I was just seeing tracks here, but it's for hyenas again. They really did walk everywhere last night. There's literally a track on every single road. Except for at the hyena den, which is where we would have wanted them to be. But, well, I don't know where they are. They're probably lying under a tree somewhere in a bush, just taking it easy. You can see the rest of the bachelors up ahead. So, quite a few of them here, and they're all very chilled with each other. In the rutting, sort of height of the rutting, you would have found when one moves, then that would have triggered the other one to start grunting and squawking and making a lot of noise and showing their sort of horns and lifting their horns up and then clashing with one another, whereas now you can see they kind of walk around each other, but they're not really too stressed about fighting or establishing any sort of hierarchy amongst them. This is a place that you'll tend to always find them. I don't know what it is about this particular section. Maybe it's the big brown ivory that is nice and shady here that they can use for shade. But they always seem to be hanging around here. And with the wildebeest, I don't know where our wildebeest is this morning. He's generally around as well. At the moment. No, I don't know where he's gone. Our normal wildebeest, maybe he's gone up to quarantine, given that all the females have been up there. Maybe he's gone and tried his hand at getting some females. It's a big herd of wildebeest that has been on quarantine, and they arrived yesterday. We hadn't seen them for a few days, and they were there. I think this morning Taylor had them, as far as I know. But I'm going to quickly go and check Treehouse Dam, just to, like I said, to see if there's any sign of our big grey pachyderms, because they've also been a bit elusive of late. And see if they, now that it's warmed up a little bit, if potentially they're having a morning drink. I tell you what though, today the light just seems a lot harsher than normal. I don't know why. I'm kind of battling to see a little bit today, and it seems like everything has got a very harsh tone to it. This morning it started off beautifully. It was beautiful golden light in the morning. Now, Alice says, funny, Taylor said the exact same thing. Yeah, maybe, I don't know what the story is today. It just seems like the sun is awfully bright and really kind of glary. And maybe it's because, you know, as things have died back and the grasses are really getting to that white color, it's reflecting a lot of the light and everything just seems that much brighter than what it actually is. It's still a beautiful day though. It's nice and pleasant to be out in the sun and feel the sun on the face. Also nice that the wind is not howling too much. I thought maybe yesterday afternoon we would have a very strong wind blowing, but it doesn't seem too bad at all. It's more a sort of gentle breeze that's rolling across, and so that's quite nice. And it's even a quiet day in the bush beats a good day in the city, for me anyway. I know there's a lot of people out there that love the city, but for me, a bad day out here and a quiet day out here sure beats driving in traffic and having to sit behind a desk in a cubicle. I'd be far happier when I'm out and about in the sunshine and in the open air.
I'm not sure what my plans are just yet. It does sound like there's a long line of people that are wanting to come into that sighting. So we'll see. Once a gap opens up, we'll try and make our move. See, what works to our advantage is that there are only a certain amount of vehicles that are allowed on Djuma at any one time. The arrangement that they have with the various landowners in the area. So once the Djuma guards have been through, and which is what's happening now as well, the landowners, there can only be so many of them in that sighting at once, which means that we could actually have a permanent spot there. Which I'm just driving around following my friends now. They with Aubrey. Aubrey's just checking here for tracks. Let me just check if he wants me to check an area. Orbs, is there anywhere I can check for you? Okay. Maybe I'll do another boundary patrol and see. Did you hear about Mahlolwa in the west? Apparently there's something about Mahlolwa in the west, so maybe I'll go and check and see if they haven't come across. But I'll keep you updated. You've just come from the west? Us? Okay, I'll let you know if I hear anything more. Okay, cool. So we're just chatting there. So Mahlolwa is one of the native names for wild dogs. So Aubrey was just saying he doesn't have a channel in the west, but I remember somebody gave the update on the northern channel. I'm not sure who it was. So what we might do now is maybe head all the way towards... Who's this? Sorry, I just want to see what tracks these are. Oh, nothing important. Lots of Impala footprints and things. So we might head all the way down, go along Triple M again, and see if those dogs have maybe popped out. So Aubrey's going to hang around in this area in case he said he'll give us a hand if we need a hand for tracking, and I obviously offered the same thing to him, you would have heard. Let's just see, scan out over here. Look at the difference now. Look how open everything is. Look how far into the bushes you can see. We're sitting on Zoe's Road now, and you can almost see, I think I can see almost about 1 kilometer away in the distance. It's so cool. So you'd easily be able to spot sort of things sitting on the ground, you know, herds of elephants, herds of buffalo, maybe even a pride of lions in those open gaps. And that is far away from us. We never were able to do this in summer. It is so refreshing to see this. It makes me really all warm and fuzzy inside. I suppose there's many other things that can make you warm and fuzzy inside, like hot chocolate or a marula fruit would be nice. That would make me warm and fuzzy. But today, it seems as though the open spaces are making me excited. But nothing in the open gap, sadly. It would have been nice if I could have demonstrated. There would have been, I just could have gone cue herd of elephants moving through one of those spaces. That would have been very nice. I really look forward to the return of the elephants again. They're just taking a break, and also the return of the buffalo. That is my wish list as well. I've got a big wish list. I've realized 2017. Perhaps I'm being too greedy, and I need to just slow it down a little bit. Aim high, and then, well, maybe we start seeing some of those things. So just from listening to the updates on the radio, it seems like Hosana is still sitting up and in that tree. He hasn't moved at all, and the Styx lines have gone completely flat that it almost looked like they got up and walked away. But they haven't. They're still there. There's a green wood hoopoo. No, we're not birding today because the birds don't want to stay. Stay, birds, stay. No. Not working. Ooh, sorry, Seb. What was, goodness gracious. Someone's been digging in these rows. It must have been the elephants. From a while back, but they've created these massive sort of craters in the road, and then I turned my head to the side and completely missed it. Now, I don't think anything has been picked up of Shadow and Cub just yet. Obviously, those leopard tracks I had, I suspect are Shongile because they look like very dainty leopard tracks. So she might be around. I checked some of her favorite spots in the quarry, but no luck. But if Tristan's heading down and around towards Treehouse Dam, that's maybe why he's off his car at the moment. Perhaps he's just seen the leopard tracks that I was talking about much earlier this morning. Couldn't figure out where they went though. And it's not too far from where that sighting is either, of the Styx and Hosana. It's actually quite close, in fact. Just check on that termite mound. No, nothing. I'm also going to have to start taking some layers off. It's got very warm very quickly. Now it feels like there's a berg wind. The wind is hot all of a sudden. Please go away, wind. Please go away. You can't even see the Drakensberg Mountains. It's so hazy. Normally you can always sort of just see it. Now I've just blinded myself by staring back at the camera and then looking straight into the sun. That was so wonderful. Whew. I'm going to actually try and find a gap here, and I'll just show you how hazy it is in the distance. Maybe there will be a gap here. Go here. Look at that. You can barely see that there is a massive mountain range in the distance. Now it's not smog, or it's just a lot of dust that's being kicked up. Look at that. You can just see a faint line. If you look very carefully, you should be able to tell the difference where the mountain is. There's slightly blue, and then the sky. Now that's the haze that we've got today. Interesting weather that's going on at the moment. I'm not too sure what to expect. Perhaps we can check on the weather app. Actually, while you're looking there, let me see if my weather app will update itself very quickly, and we can see what weather we've got. Now, I always find it difficult to try and find a spot to get weather from, so I like to use between Hoedspruit and Skukuza, and then think because we're somewhere in the middle between them. No, it's not apping. It's not apping. It's not updating. I don't have enough cell phone reception out here to check the weather for you. I would have showed you then what was going on, but we'll drive around. Maybe we pick up some better signal at some point, and then I can show you that. Right, we carry on and see. Let's carry on. Let's do our boundary patrol like we said we were going to do. It'd be nice to see dogs. I'd feel terrible though if I found wild dogs as well this morning. Not that I found the lions and the leopards. We were on those leopard tracks and trying to figure out where they'd gone. I thought it's calling it an animal sighting. It seems like they weren't. But I would like Tristan to find some amazing animals today. Alice, sorry, can I have that again? What does Viola have to say? Or have to ask? Oh, what small animals was the word that I was missing. Were you wondering what are those ones in our areas? Lots of small animals. We can start with some small antelope species like Steenbok and Dacre, quite common around here. Then you go right down to little squirrels and dwarf mongoose, shrews, bushveld gerbils. Then you can go to tortoises, are quite small too. Lots of different types of reptiles around. What else is small out here? So many different things. The birds are all small. I suppose you can include them. Honey badgers are fairly small. Porcupines, aardvark, well, small in height, not in weight though. An aardvark can weigh up to about 60 kilograms. They get really big. So what's that? About 130, 140 pounds? Not a small animal. Warthogs are small. There's lots and lots of different things out here, but because it is so windy, and it's one thing you guys must always remember is that when you have these windy days, the chances of you seeing a lot of game out in the open is quite slim. You know, you get lucky with the cats, as did we, but other than that and the predators, everybody else seems to keep hiding away. They don't want to be spotted. Even the birds. It's difficult to do birding in windy weather, so it's not the greatest. You know how many times I've had guests who have obviously spent an absolute fortune staying at some of these 5-star luxury lodges, and there's definitely an expectation with guests. They think that they're paying to see the animals. You're not paying. You pay for the area, and that's normally the most expensive part about it. That's why the Sabi Sands is not the cheapest place to come on safari. It's the best place, however, to come on safari in South Africa, because your chances of course, encountering these various animals that we're fortunate enough to see is a lot higher than, say, some other places. So I don't know, I just always found that you cannot guarantee animals. It's impossible. Even in the Sabi sands, you've got an exceptionally good chance of seeing a leopard, but I've had many guests that have left not seeing any cats at all. It's very hard for them because they've paid such a lot of money to come all this way to try and see the animals. But it is a gamble, so always keep that in mind, is that you don't always get to see the things you want to see out here. The bush decides what you see on that day. Right, we're going to keep checking the boundary and hopefully we'll pick up some sign of the wild dogs if they have come this way. I'm going to send you across to Tristan. He's arrived at Treehouse Dam.
We have, and it's all fairly quiet, the usual suspects. So here, the blacksmith lapwing, which is running to the left very quickly, and our Egyptian geese that are also there. So that's pretty typical. And then it looks like there's the three banded plovers as well. Now those are also a bird that we see very regularly hanging around on... Oh, that's actually a pied wagtail. It's not a three banded plover. So sorry about that. I actually hadn't looked through my binoculars before I said so. But those little pied wagtails are cool birds. I like them. They move around quite a bit in this area, and you'll find they get the name wagtail by the tail that bounces up and down. Now hopefully it will go onto a rock or something like that, and then you'll find the tail will do that bouncing motion. When they walk they don't do it as much, but I like how their head moves when they walk. They kind of got this little head bob that they do. And the reason pied, well, because they're black and white. They're such a pretty little bird, always associated with the fringes of water. You'll find pied wagtails regularly down at water holes, just on the edges looking around for food. I'll stop, little one, so we can see your tail bouncing around. Nope, doesn't seem like we're going to stop anytime soon. Oh, what have you got? There you go, there you can see the tail moving. Olivia, you say you like their walk. I do too. I think they've got quite a cool walk. They look as though they're strutting their stuff, like they know what they're doing, and every now and then you'll see them darting forward to get insects. You see how they often focus in around the dung that is left behind by hippos and elephants and varying other things. Now just off to the left of that pied wagtail against the water there's a beautiful golden breasted bunting. It's also sitting right at the edge of the water. So there we go, Craig. Straight in from there basically. There it is. So there's our little bunting having a morning drink. I wonder if this is like the little coffee station where everybody just comes down in the morning. All the birds come and have a little chat together, see what's going on, catch up what happened during the night. Everybody's taking it easy and then off they go. Now the tracks for little Shongile are all over the place here. Apparently she was seen quite late last night, around 7 o'clock, hunting in this area and trying to hunt around the dam. So I'm sure her tracks are from that time, but I want to just quickly go around and do a loop and just make sure that she hasn't crossed southwards, because they go up and down on the road towards the dam here. Now she's not sitting at the dam that I can see, and it seems as though Shongile is proving to be one of the hardest leopards to track. She seems to move all over the place, and then when you come along, nowhere to be seen. She doesn't like to lie out in the open for some reason. So I'm going to start having nightmares about tracking Shongile at this rate. I think Taylor saw these tracks this morning. I'm not sure if Taylor came this way, but I heard her talking about leopard tracks. I think I might have seen them. Andy, so this is kind of something that's been discussed and we're really not sure, and it's all up in the air at this stage. But you want to know if Shongile will take over Kruger's territory now. In all likelihood, probably not just yet. They're in all likelihood will take over quicker than what Shongile will, but you never know. Now it sounds like gremlins are jumping on board. For what reason I'm not sure, because it's the first time I've had gremlins at Treehouse Dam. But while we deal with these and naughty gremlins, let's go back to Taylor and see if she's had any luck with the dogs.
We have not had any luck, sadly. Those gremlins are very pesky today, but again I think it's got to do with all the terrible wind and weather that we've been having at the moment. That could be stirring them about. Perhaps maybe pollination works with gremlins. Maybe that's why they're spreading so much. They take flight to the wind and blow all the way around. I don't know, they're very naughty though. We're still on the boundary having a look. I did see some leopard tracks crossing out. I think they could have been shadows, just because she likes this area, but crossing into Arethusa. They didn't look particularly fresh, maybe from like 2 days ago or somewhere around there. We are just checking carefully and slowly. Obviously we're hoping to see some signs of wild dogs, but sadly I have got no reports of seeing any tracks of wild dogs just yet. So we'll keep on soldiering on, I suppose. I'd like to actually try and find a nice group of hornbills, maybe yellow-billed hornbills. I'd like to sit and watch them maybe dig through some dung. I miss the days of summer when we'd watch them feeding at the termite mounds. It was really funny, and seeing so many different types of birds at the mounds, at the opening, that are sticking their beaks in and then throwing their food up and catching it in their mouth is always very impressive too. So yes, that's what we're doing. Maybe we're going to see Shadow pop out of the bushes with another scrub hare in her mouth. Wouldn't that be great? It would be very cool. But not just yet. But that's the beauty of safaris, is that you just never know what you're going to see. I bet none of you expected to see lions and leopards in one sighting. I didn't. There's some evidence of elephants here though, relatively fresh, but they disappear off of the road. No, don't go down there. Come this way. I've gone in towards Arethusa. I've gone in straight in towards one of, so bumpy, yeah, straight down one of the drainage lines. So I don't blame the elephants for going and feeding down in the drainage lines today. I'd probably do exactly the same thing if I was an animal. Now, if you can see the camera bumping around quite a bit, it is just because of the road. This is one of the boundary roads. Remember, we've got the power lines along the boundary roads, and it's one where the big trucks come and drive, unfortunately a little bit too fast, faster than they should be driving, and it often causes these corrugations in the road, and that's what's happening right now. Bumping, making strange noises. Just checking all these trees and in this drainage line and on the termite mounds that are here. Could be a good spot. I haven't seen many cars though, and I don't think I'll be able to hear them very well either today. Normally what you can do is, if you switch off, we do this quite often, especially if there was a supposed sighting quite close and you weren't 100% sure, what we'd sometimes do to help guide people in is we tell them to switch their car off, and then you will turn your car off and maybe just do a little rev and then pinpoint exactly where you need to go. And especially if it's in a very thick area, maybe in a drainage line, it's often difficult to try and navigate your way through. But now we're coming up towards One Eye Pan. We can't see One Eye Pan, but it's just in Simbambili. We know the lions like to use it quite often. I think Tristan was telling me that it's a pumped pan actually, so it does have fresh water. So the animals like to go there. A whole herd of elephants, maybe last night, actually crossed through here and disappeared down this road. Oh. Now, Guy, you're wondering what is the difference between a pond and a pan? Well, I would say that a pond sounds like something that's maybe man-made, whereas a pan is typically something that's seasonal. So you wouldn't necessarily, you could pump water into it, but so maybe I don't know what I should call that then. I don't know if it is a natural sort of cavity that was there, and now they've just you know, dug a borehole and are constantly pumping water into it. But a pan typically starts off like something like a mud wallow, and then it can become bigger and bigger and then turn into a pan, or just a natural sort of depression that fills up, that holds water quite well. But a pond sounds like something man-made with maybe a concrete or some type of infrastructure to it. Now we're coming to the gate now, and no tracks of wild dogs, no sign of vehicles. It's not good for us, unfortunately. Keep checking though. We're also coming to the spot though where the lions seem to be crossing in and out. Maybe we'll go towards Sydney's dam again and have a look. See, maybe those lions have pulled a sneaky, which wouldn't surprise me, and perhaps come around this way. Who was walking here? I think it was from the cubs. Now
can get them under control. We can't have a gremlin outbreak again. We need to keep them in check and make sure that they know who's boss out here and not run riot. So we'll just have to see how that goes. But I'm just looking for any sort of signs that Shongile was in this area or crossed, maybe potentially crossed south. And so far I can't find any sign of her going southwards. And it looks like quite a few vehicles drove here this morning though on the fire break, so we know the main road will be pretty much, most of the vehicles will have driven there, but we'll try and just check this fire break and see if there isn't any sign. Sometimes she likes to go towards the quarry. There isn't water there anymore, which is why they used to go there, but we never know. Maybe she's just sitting on one of the termite mounds at the quarry itself. So we'll quickly have a little check on that side. But if she was seen last night in that area, those tracks probably are from last night, so during the night, and she could be quite far from here by now, knowing how she likes to walk around and kind of mission around and move. It's very possible that she's gone out of this area. But I just want to quickly check down in this quarry. Sometimes used to find Hosana and Shongile lying here quite often when they were still together. No, nothing that I can see. Nope. No little Shongi that I can see here. It's not to say that she isn't, of course. There are lots of long grass and lots of sort of white grass that would be easy for a leopard to lie in, particularly a small leopard like Shongile. So, oh, hang on, what was that? Let's just see if that's a track for her. No, it's not for a leopard, that is for a scrub hare. How I've confused that, I'm not quite sure. But when desperate times call for desperate measures, and this is what happens when we're a little bit on the desperate side. Scrub hares start looking like leopard tracks and, well, varying other things as well. Haven't seen one of those in a while actually, which is, I'll show you guys now. There's a big community spider nest, so just to the left of the tree, and I haven't seen too many of them. We generally now that particular nest is full of thousands of tiny little spiders that are living inside. There's basically a leaf litter structure that they'll build into the web, and they live inside that leaf litter, and then they come onto the edges of the web itself, and they'll pull the insects that have been caught in the web down into there, and they feed off it. Now the reason why they live in a community is because they are tiny little spiders, and so what happens with them is that, being kind of small and minute, they don't have enough venom to be able to incapacitate a lot of the prey items that will land in that web, things like locusts and little insects. And so lots and lots of them together, each one will go and sort of inject venom, and together they form a much more potent venom that is able to then knock out the insect that they need to be able to get rid of it, so, or to dispatch it, and then to be able to feed off it. So it works really well when you're very tiny to form this community, and there'll be thousands of spiders living inside there, which is very cool. Now it seems as though, unfortunately, it was part of a branch that's maybe been broken by something, because I see just to the left of it is a piece of the web. You can actually see bits of web hanging all over the place there, so I don't know if somebody's disturbed it, maybe a naughty elephant that was trying to get to the torchwood fruits underneath the tree. But there you can see a little bit of the web there. Now Nancy, you say you know what your nightmares will be about. Well, yes, I'm going to have nightmares about leopard tracks, and you're going to have nightmares about a big webbing of spiders and thousands of them in there. So let's not give you too many more nightmares. I think we've had a look at our web for long enough. Now it sounds like apparently there might be a male lion somewhere near Buffelshoek Dam, so maybe we should head that way. I don't know where Taylor is, maybe she's a little bit closer than what I am, but we'll try and head that way and see who is hanging about at Buffelshoek Dam. It'll be interesting to know, given that we had tracks for that lion around the old hyena den on Mvubu, and it must be the same individual, and we should have just followed our original plan and gone all the way through on the boundary, and maybe we would have found him a lot earlier, but well, we got sidetracked slightly, and I wanted to check the hyena den, and all these things happen, and we didn't get there. So it would be nice if we could probably head that direction, but like I say, I think Michaela might be a bit closer than I am, so if she is, she's more than welcome to head in that direction. Just trying to listen on the radio to actually what is going on and where that lion is. Sounds like maybe on the dam wall. Craig, should we go see a male lion? Yeah, I don't know if we'll get there in time though. We're on the complete opposite side of where that is. So I think we might have to leave that one for Taylor. Alice, where's Taylor now? I'm asking Alice just so that she can find out where Taylor is, because I don't think we'll have time to get to Buffelshoek Dam from where we are. It is a long way away. So Taylor is much closer than what I am, so she can carry on and continue with her lucky streak for the morning and go and see a male lion. Because Taylor apparently is on the Gari Buffelshoek cut line, which is, like I say, on the northern side and not too actually far from Buffelshoek Dam in comparison to where we are. Now, I want to just quickly check up Weaver's Nest. Now, I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to find any tracks. The number of vehicles that have driven around here, given that the Styx and Hosana have been around, is quite a lot. So I would imagine that any tracks that were on Weaver's Nest are probably squished at this stage. But let's hope that's not the case. I was just listening to some rap that there is anything else by the looks of it close by. We'll check with our binos on some of the trees to see if maybe we can't spot some birds, but I don't think so, because I don't really want to choke on Texan's dust. Texan's dust, should I say? Not Texan, I don't know why I'm saying that. Nope, no birds. Well, I can't find any tracks for Shongile crossing south by any stretch of the imagination. I checked all the way along the fire break, so she must be somewhere around, but no sign of her at this stage. So, Laura Moore, you want to know what inspired me to be a guide and what age? I think a guide probably was only much later in life, but when I was growing up, a game ranger was kind of what I always thought about. Now, a game ranger and a guide are two different things. So, a lot of the time we're referred to as rangers, but actually we are field guides. A ranger is more somebody that will patrol fence lines and do anti-poaching and does foot patrols and kind of looks after that side of things and has very little to do with tourism in any way. So we're more tourist based, which means we're guides. So I think it was more about it being a game ranger, and it was from growing up. My grandparents were very into the bush and the wilds, and all my school holidays used to be spending a lot of time in the Kruger Park area and having a lot of sort of time out in the wilderness areas and learning from them. So that's where it kind of started, and then watching lots of documentaries and things on TV. I remember my grandfather used to always buy us these videos or tape videos of all the natural things, and we used to watch all these amazing documentaries, and that kind of kick-started it off, and we had this sort of want to be in the bush and to be a game ranger, and read lots of books about game rangers. So there was Memory of a Game Ranger Remembers. These are all kind of books that were written by the old rangers of the Kruger National Park, and they were very interesting books to read, and it's all these wild stories, and as a kid it captivates your imagination and makes you kind of want to be a part of it. So that's where it kind of started, and I was probably at that stage already, I was 3-4 years old where I was getting exposure to that, and then kind of went through teenage years, and school and sport took over, and didn't really get to spend much time out in the bush. And then some of my friends started working up at Singita, and went to go visit them, and that kind of reignited everything, and that's when I decided I'd be a guide, which was at the age of about 19, 20, somewhere around there, and then ended up doing the guiding course, and well, the rest is history. So it was more from my grandparents than anything else, and the times that they spent in the bush with us and taught us, and the books that they used to show us, and all the kind of, we used to actually, as kids, my brother and I, go through field guides. Instead of going through like comic books, we used to go through field guides of animals and birds, and we used to have a bird list. Even at the age of when I was 5 years old, we already had bird lists going, so that's where it all kind of started. I just want to check, there's a termite mound here. Right, it sounds like Taylor might have gotten to where that male lion is, so let's quickly go across to her and see how she's doing.
I think it's going to be a very quick sighting. He's coming straight towards us, and he's going to go straight into Buffel's Hook by the looks of it. Who do we have here? This is the first look we're all having now too. Do you have an equal size? It's Nhenha, my favourite Birmingham boy. The reason why I identified him so quickly is he has an equal scar going across his nose. I'm just trying to duck out of frame. Now look at him standing right in front of my car. He's a beautiful lion, this fella. He's also looking a little bit on the hungry side. He's got quite a bit of skin hanging from his belly, but what a powerful beast. Now there's Impala just up ahead, but I think that they'd already seen him because they did give a snort and started running. Let's keep going. Let's get up with him again, because otherwise we'll lose him. Are you going to catch an impala for us, Nhenha? Oh, so nice to see this lovely male lion. I said it's not going to be the longest sighting we've ever had of a lion before, but the boys seem to be doing that. They seem to be just sneakily crossing out. I'm going to quickly cut across the road, and we'll get them to grab that spot and go in front of him for you, Seb. Let's go into this little drainage here. Sorry, watch your branches, Seb. You good? Here he comes. And we'll just watch him as he walks past us. Isn't he magnificent? Oh, he's got a little cut underneath his eye as well. But I think it was from a scab, and I think he's maybe reopened that wound again. Now he's walking straight down the road. What we'll do is we'll try and do a loop around again and get in front of him. I think that might be the best bet. What do you think, Seb?
Okay.
Should we do that? Yeah. Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for this. How fantastic. Whee! Okay, let's go over here. Please don't be any hidden logs. Please, no hidden logs or collapsing termite mounds today. That would not be great. Oh, it seemed this way. We were driving once, we were following Tingana, and then I also got stuck on a tree. I seem to get stuck on trees quite often. We'll have another nice view of him again though. And we'll just keep doing this. There we go. Oh, he's such a beautiful cat. It's so easy to see why he's the favorite of many. He's got a very clean face. Obviously today he looks like he's got a couple of scratches. It's actually the most scarred up I think I've seen Nhenha before. Look at that mane though. Much more full than that of Tinyos and Mfumo. He's definitely older. Now, Gillian, you said that he's in such beautiful condition. He is. He looks like he could eat, though. He is heading into Buffelshoek now, so we'll watch him for as long as we can. But how's that with the wind blowing through his mane? He really just looks so regal this morning. And his entire condition is good. His coat is nice and clean. His mane looks like he's actually paid attention to it. And he does seem to be the neatest one. Him and Nsuku always look like they're particularly well groomed. They're metrosexual men. These two boys. I always find that Tinyo and Mfumo look so scruffy. They don't seem to pay too much attention to themselves. But unfortunately, that is it for the sighting, because he has now disappeared into Buffelshoek, and unfortunately we aren't able to go into Buffelshoek. Short and sweet though. Pretty amazing, I think. It was nice to just have a view of him. It doesn't look like he's going to change direction. You might see him still just disappearing through the thicket. He's going straight north. So I wonder if this was not the male lion that we heard calling today. Maybe it did a big detour and came all the way up this way. Possibly just patrolling, doing a territorial sort of walk through Djuma and now into Buffelshoek. And I did go towards the gate, and we had a look around there. Last night the lions disappeared into Buffelshoek as well. They drank at Sydney's dam, and then from what I could tell with the tracks, it looks like they came back again and crossed west. But the tracks looked quite windblown, so I think they must have done that last night. So maybe this afternoon we'll get lucky and we'll have a similar case where we catch the lions sort of towards the end of drive again, as it starts to get cooler. Hopefully they start moving maybe a little bit sooner, and it would be nice to spend a bit of time with them. Like I said, I didn't even tell you last night, as the show ended, I drove around back towards Vuyatela Axis, and guess who was there? The lions. Can you believe it? They are so naughty. So they all looked good. They still look quite thin though, but hopefully they'll catch something. I'll try and find out from some of the guides a little bit later today if they did find the Nguhumas on Simbambili or Arathusa, and if they made that were feeding.
But don't worry, at least Taylor managed to get to our male line before he crossed, because, well, we would never have gotten anywhere near it before it did. So I'm pretty sure that's the exact same line that we were tracking this morning, that had the tracks around Gallagher and Mvubu Road, and that we heard this morning. So good that we at least got a brief glimpse of Nhenha. He is such a beautiful lion, and by far seems to be the favorite of most of the guys at Safari Live. I know Taylor really likes him. I like him as well. Nsuku is also a very pretty male. Maybe not the favorite, but the prettiest, I think, is what we all agree upon, is Nhenha or Nsuku, one of those two. Tinyo and Mfumo, unfortunately, have been on the harder side of life and have a few scars and scrapes and scratches to deal with. So they have a bit more of a tougher time of things, but they in their own right have sort of atmosphere and a presence to them. So Michelle, the Birmingham Boys will most definitely stay as a coalition for the rest of their lives. Now that that bond has been established, they will most certainly kind of keep together. You'll find though that what might happen is that they will split, as what we're seeing now. They're splitting and kind of spending a lot of time away from one another, but that's because there is really no competition at this stage. There's no other male lions that are pushing into this area, that in any way sort of pushing the Birminghams and making them be forced to be together. So that's why we see them on their own so much. As soon as we get a situation where other lions come in here, I would imagine those four will come back together and be quite a strong sort of presence. It's what we saw with the Majingalans and even the Mapokos to some degree. I know the Mapokos did split 4 and 2, but those two did sometimes go back, and you found Mr. T, he went back once Kinky Tail was killed and joined back with the others. So they will definitely still remain as a coalition. They might just spend long periods of time apart, but when the sort of push comes to shove and they need to defend their territory, you'll find that those four will probably come back together and spend time together. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out when the next coalition starts to push into this section, because these guys have been largely untested. They came in They kind of had the Matimbas to deal with, but they had the numerical advantage there, and they pushed those Matimbas out quite quickly, and that wasn't really too much of a fight. The Matimbas actually didn't even engage with them, they just ran away. And so it'll be very, very interesting to see when you get a younger coalition that comes in here that maybe is a little bit more brazen and a bit more pushy, whether or not they're going to test these Birminghams and catch them unawares and catch one or two of them on their own, and then you're going to find the Birminghams are going to have a bit of a problem. So it's going to be a very interesting next few years, but hopefully it will be a while so that all these cubs can grow up. So Michael, in terms of coalitions getting used to or taking over a territory, it's always very dependent. You've either got a takeover that is a very abrupt, quick one, which is when you have male lions like storming in, killing the male lions that were there, and the females are around and they kind of assert themselves on those females immediately and start to then mate with them. That's sort of a quick takeover, and we've seen that with the Majingulans and the Mopokos. That was quite fast that they kind of came in. With the Birminghams it was a bit different. They were the slow takeover. They were the slow but steady. They came in as young males, figured things out, started to get bigger and bulkier, and once they started to kind of get bulky, because remember the Birminghams actually arrived here quite young for a coalition. Generally when coalitions go in and they start taking over, they're normally about 5 years old, whereas the Birminghams, I think when they first started arriving, were just over 3.5. I think they were between 3.5 and 4, if I'm not mistaken, and they kind of came in as quite youngsters. So they grew up a little bit, and once they had bulked up a bit and had a few sort of buffalo and worked out what was going on, and they started to get these testosterone flushes coming through, they then chased out the Matimbas. So it took them almost a year to get into this area, to sort of settle down and become the dominant males within the section. So it just depends on how the males come in. Do they either come in as a little bit older and fiery and kind of kill whatever is around and kill all the cubs and force them into mating with them quickly, or is it a situation like the Birminghams where they kind of tested the waters for a while before then sort of chasing the Matimbas out and killing the Styx cubs? And that was the sort of determining factor. Once they killed those Styx cubs and the Nkuhuma's cubs, they then were sort of set and dominant and chased the Matimbas out from there. Now I'm going to try and see if we can't pull one rabbit out the hat, because, well, we've turned in a dismal performance in comparison to the golden haired and, well, the golden girl for the morning, Miss McCurdy. So let's go across to her and see what she does while we try and see if we can't find something to save our pride this morning.
We've got a big raptor sitting in a tree. It looks like a snake eagle. Got the beautiful yellow eye, and also when it flew just a moment ago, looks like it's about to defecate for us. Yes, well done. It also has the white underneath its wings. They are such beautiful birds, and you actually forget how big they are. They're quite a robust eagle too. They're not sort of dainty, but so pretty. Squirrels are all alarming now, as you can imagine. They won't be too happy. And wouldn't it be fitting today for a snake eagle to catch a snake, seeing as though it is World Snake Day? But we'll chat more about the snakes in the afternoon. If anything, if we're going to see a snake, the afternoon safaris would be the best opportunity to, of course, see one. They'll be moving around during most of the day. Maybe we get a puff adder. How nice would some pythons be? We haven't seen pythons. I've never seen a python up in the north. You can hear the squirrels all shouting. There's about 3 different squirrel alarming. Very panicked sound. Actually, that sounded a little bit more like a horse than anything, didn't it? Right, let's go have a look and see what's at Vuyatela Dam. Hi, Eagly. Hope you get some dinner. Well, it would be nice if it stayed around in this area for this afternoon safari. It would be very cool, and it's obviously on the lookout for something to eat. I don't think many raptors and things would be enjoying flying out in today's weather. I think even today would blow the vultures and things around. This wouldn't be very nice. Okay, we've been very lucky, I suppose, this morning. Just being in the right areas at the right time. Not that we've actually found any of the animals. We were heading towards Buffelshoek Dam, and I was hoping that we maybe would have found that lion if Duncan who's one of the other guards. I think he's a landowner as well. Didn't get him first. Well done to him though. On a roll. So there you see, there are lots and lots of cats on the property. It's just, can you get them out in the open to find them, and then of course to try and follow them. I don't know where Hosana is going to go. I actually haven't heard anything more about that sighting. I haven't been quite naughty. My radio's been turned down. It does sound like there's still a few people going in and out of it. The Styx lions, though, as I said, they've gone completely flat. So maybe they'll at least be around for the afternoon safari. I really hope that they do. It'd be nice to get a better view of them. And they've got 2 dams to choose from. They can go to Twin Dams and they can go to Treehouse Dam. And I suppose if they walk on the roads, Treehouse Dam will be the closest. But if they're not afraid of taking an animal pathway straight through the bush, Treehouse Dam is of equal distance. Hi, Egyptian geese. Those are funny birds to watch. Let's have a quick look at them. You can see how windy it is though. Lots of ripples on the water. No opportunity for reflection shots today if the wind keeps it up like this. And of course it's not just the Egyptian geese that are also swimming about in their dam, going about their day. We've got Mr. and Mrs. Hardy-Dar ibis, who are just up near that fallen log that's in the water. They're wading about, probing in the mud, looking for all sorts of delicious crustaceans and worms and all sorts of other things. Be careful, your tail feathers look like they're going to blow up and blow you over. They seem to be very successful, this pair of Hardy-Dars. They always look like they are getting little tasty morsels out of the ground. It was very clever of them to come and probe around the water. Right, let's continue. Let's see what else we can see. I can hear another squirrel making a little bit of a fuss. Maybe we'll try and get a squirrel on camera today. Wouldn't that be great? We've seen lots of them, but they never sit still. They're not the most obliging creatures. Yeah, I can hear you. Where are you? No, I can't see it. I think obviously they see the cars and then they run away and hide in the holes in the tree. Oh, there's a golden-breasted bunting. Where are you going to know? It's too high for me to even look up. I'm going to break my neck. Whee. Now, as we drive through, you may see that there's these new additions, all these trees. This is what we call brush packing. We see a lot of it in the bush, and it's quite nice that the maintenance team has gone about it. And they've actually done a great deal of conservation, because they've cut down some of the bush encroaching trees that completely dominate open areas. They've taken them down, so creating more open space, more potential grazing, and they've put them here against the sort of dam wall and the roads, because we know how susceptible this area is to erosion, and particularly water erosion when we get a bit of rain. So by doing that, that might help just let the vegetation grow again around there. So let's hope it does the case, and it also holds the soil in place. There isn't very much and that's why having vegetation on the ground is so important, because it does help stop erosion. So hopefully that will work too. No wildebeest. I think that they would have actually moved off of quarantine, but we'll see now if they're still up here or if they've continued west. The zebra looked like they were heading west, back towards the Power Lines Road. I think they'll end up somewhere around there. Just moving out of the open now, out of the wind. It feels like summer now today. It actually doesn't feel like a winter's day at all, with the wind and the dry heat. It's like October weather. No. Amazing. Quarantine was filled with animals this morning. Are we going to get any mongoose? Oh, look how barren it is. Nothing. Just lots of grass. Not even an impala up and out here today. And normally the impala don't mind. They don't mind being up here. Oh no, there's some wildebeest. I've spoken utter nonsense. They're just sitting down now. Look at them all. This is so cool. Right, I'm going to show you a picture now. Look, they're all resting here. That's good. They should be here this afternoon then. They've decided they're going to have a siesta now. Now, Jordan, speaking of wildebeest, you were wondering, why is it that you often see wildebeest and zebra together? Well, it's quite important. A lot of the animals out here have various symbiotic relationships with each other. Some of them benefit one another. Some of them will only benefit one party and the other one will be affected negatively. But the relationship that the wildebeest and the zebra have is a nice type of symbiosis. So basically, the wildebeest prefer to eat the short grass, and the zebra will eat all different lengths of grass. They don't mind short grass, they don't mind long grass. So they'll come through and they'll graze the grass down to a level in which is appropriate for the wildebeest to feed on, and then you'll see the wildebeest following afterwards and grazing just off, or just where they've been grazing, which is quite cool. Don't you think that's amazing that they're working together? Now that one stood up. I wonder if it was not the bull that maybe stood up there. It was quite wary of us, but I think it will sit down again. It does look quite stocky and quite sort of large. It's difficult to tell from that angle though. All the wildebeest are looking so healthy now, as all the females, the calves are growing up so quickly. Oh, they're just ruminating. See, look at the little ones. Can you see that one is just starting, the one on the right there? No, don't go behind the tree, I want to talk about you. Not, there we go, the one that's just standing behind it, you can see it's a youngster. No, you're too big to suckle. See that? Mom's obviously trying to move out of the way and the little one's like, I want to try and have a suckle, please, Mom. But it's so big now that it has to go down on its knees in order to reach. So to me that says, and the fact that Mom's not stopping, little one, you are probably being weaned now. You are eating more grass than you need to drink milk. They don't normally suckle for very long anyway. Cats suckle for slightly longer. Well, and elephants, my goodness, elephants suckle for ages. And even when they're not supposed to be suckling, they still try and sneak one. But a good spot that they've got some nice shade. They might have to get up and move just slightly in a little bit, maybe in the next couple of hours, and reposition themselves. But I think that they should be around here. Otherwise, keep an eye out on the dam cam. They might go down for a drink a little bit later too. Maybe the impala and zebra decide to come back too. But it ended up well. Starting off very slow this morning, but we ended up having a fantastic drive towards the end. Spots, lions, not just females and little ones. I know it wasn't the greatest view of the Styx, but hopefully they'll be around this afternoon. But then there were also those beautiful views, of course, of Nhenha, my favorite Birmingham boy, and who knows, maybe he also pops around a little bit later. It would be nice if the Ungahumas could show face. But fantastic from all of you. We loved your questions. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to the whole Wild Earth team. We will see you same time, same place this afternoon on the Sunset Safari.